primary reason is that men are not men anymore. And when I was growing up, men would lead the way and everybody else would follow. But the men are not leading the way now. The women are leading the way, and everybody's becoming emotional and afraid and that kind of thing. So that's why it's so easy to brainwash.
Now, why do you think that's changed as of recent? Matter of fact, when do you think that started to change?
When the women's movement started, when that movement started, and the men gave over to that, it led from one thing to another. Because I remember when the women movement first started, black people were not for it. They would not go for it because they liked the family, right? The order of the family of God in Christ, Christ and man, man over woman, and woman over children. But then the liberal white feminists convinced the black women, oh, you could be free, you could be your own woman. You've been suppressed by slavery and now by men. And they gave them money and they fell for it. And then the civil rights movement came along. And the worst thing other than abortion that has ever happened to the blacks, worse than slavery or any other thing, was the civil rights movement. They were the one that mostly convinced the blacks that they could be on welfare and that they didn't need a man in the home. And the reason Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson, and all those guys did it because they wanted to become the leader of the black people. And so they made it, because blacks was mostly Republicans before. It wasn't until the civil rights movement came along that most blacks became Democrats. And so Jesse Jackson and all those guys came along, and they wanted to be the leader of the blacks, because prior to that, black people had fathers and mothers together, for the most part, grandfathers and grandmothers, and there was no one over them, only God over them. And then Jesse Jackson and others came along and made a deal with the Democratic Party that we will sell the blacks over to you, but we want to be their leaders. We want to tell them what to do, how to vote. And so under Lyndon B. Johnson, they agreed to that. And so they sold the blacks by giving them welfare and letting the government take care of them, but you can't have a man in the home.
That's more so what I was asking if you agree with, Joe.
Thank you.
So just to clarify a lot more of what Jesse Lee is talking about in this particular clip right here, the women's movement was the beginning of the downfall of men, us as men, right? Where we're handing the torches for women to be leaders and for men to be followers, regardless of your gender, right? The gender roles are already being destroyed at this point. So what happened in that situation? Now, the government at that point in time benefits them, because if you put women in the workforce, you double the workforce. Now women can work, therefore pay goes lower. And throughout time goes, now, 40 years, 50 years later, now we need a 2-parent income for the average home to survive, right? You need women to work. So back then it was more of a choice, or that's how they promoted it, right? Feminism says, well, it's about equality, right? We just want to be equal to men. There is no equality amongst the genders in any way, shape, or form. But of course, feminism promotes this, right? So the government said, okay, go out there, make your money, come home, you're equal to the man. The difference is that your responsibilities as a woman does not go away, right? So you still have to come home, clean the house, take care of the kids, etc. So you're the government basically doubled the work for women, right? Now all of a sudden they say, okay, well, now that we pushed it to the point where women have to work, who's taking care of the kids, right? Now you have children, who's taking care of the children? You know who's taking care of the children? Schools. What are schools mostly run by? Women. When we grow up, it's mostly women that are the first grade teachers, second grade teachers, kindergarten teachers, etc. So we're raised with women 8 hours, 9 hours a day at school, right? So we have that female energy. Let's say daycares. Daycares mostly run by women, right? More female energy. Let's say you come home and mom and dad are still at work. You're more than likely you're being taken care of by grandma. So grandma's taking care of you. So grandma, also female energy, right? As the cost of living went up, women needed to work, right? Promoting equality, which is a lie. So the whole main thing here of the women's movement was from the government to take the women out of the household, have them work, tax them, destroy the nuclear family, and have our future men being raised by women left and right.
I deal with women, and I realized that a lot of women are uncomfortable or don't know how to receive affection or love.
Facts.
Especially from a man. because they haven't received
definitely.
that from a man at home, and or they may not even receive affection or love from their own mother. So
every human being that's born through all born through the woman, but every human being that's born through the woman hate their mothers.
can you expound on that?
It doesn't matter how much money, where they live, how rich or poor, the color. They can be Allah Abba people or Mexican.
You think guys that had traditional mothers still hate their mother?
Yeah,
What's the reason for that?
because of her nature. The woman's nature is evil. Her nature is that of the devil. And so even in the womb, if she is angry while the baby's in the womb, she can destroy, she can traumatize his spirit or her spirit, and the baby will come out angry, just like the woman, because the woman's nature is evil until she's born of the Father. That's why God said every human being must be born of the Father, and there will come a day when I will return the children to the fathers and the father to the children. And so we are a spirit. We're not our mind. We're not our thoughts. We are not our bodies, and we are not our feelings. We are a spirit created in the image of God, but born through the woman. Her nature is her spirit, and it's not her, but it's the spirit in her. It's the nature of the devil, and it
I get what he's saying.
I'm cracking up because I told you that I broke up with a girl that wouldn't leave me alone, and at the point where she was harassing me and would not leave me alone, I didn't know what else to say to get her to leave me alone. So I just started using Jesse's monologue, and I told you, I started telling her, I'm like, you have no love, you have anger and evil, and you do need to forgive your mother. You know what the funny thing is actually like in some of those cases,
There's some truth to that. That's
like,
the thing.
You could easily see having met her mother, like that her mother traumatized her.
Yeah, when you date a woman, like usually when you date a woman, you see how they act. Like they're a representation of their mother. And when a man takes control and has frame in the relationship, the woman usually gets attributes from the man. So the way she goes about life through there, like going forward, she's a representation of now her man and not her mother. That goes back to the man needs to be the best version of himself in order to get the woman away from Satan, right? From the devil, etc., from her mother's anger.
Mother recreate the girls in her image and the boys in her image, because her nature is that of the devil, and the devil has no love. That's why anyone who has any iota of anger cannot be trusted. God said that anyone that has anger is a murderer, and do not trust them, because it could be your daddy, your mama, your brother, your sister, your wife, whatever. They will turn on you eventually, because that's the nature. And that's why we must be born again of the Father. The woman's nature is evil of the devil, and the man's nature is love of God once he overcomes the spirit of the mother. It's our spirits that's being corrupted and recreated in the mother's image, which is the devil, rather than our physical.
One of the things I wrote is the
I
fact
want to hear
that
from Abby. Is it Abby?
Gabby.
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 That
What's your thoughts?
All women are evil. There's not one that's not evil.
I mean, I don't know.
Hold on. Thank you, Jesse Lee.
You not sure? You don't?
I mean, I am a woman, so I'd like to
Have you
say
noticed
that
you're
I'm
evil?
not evil.
You like to say that, but what's the real deal?
Tell the truth.
Put me on the spot here.
Don't worry, nobody knows you. We use the alias. Gabby's not your real
Abby.
name.
I'm
It's
not
Abby.
an angel.
No, a lot of my followers
I'm not
know
an
it.
angel, and maybe you are right.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Not,
Maybe, Mr.
Do you
Peterson.
have anger?
Not-
Do you have anger?
oh yeah.
Well, anyone who has anger is evil,
Yeah.
because anger is evil. Anyone who
I
has
agree.
anger is of their daddy, the devil.
You could just
I know it sounds like, he's just like kind of bad, like targeting women, but he says anybody who has anger is evil. Look, I'll even admit, I of course, I'm a person, I have anger. It is what it is, right? I'm aware of it. And I always say, like, there's no such thing as a good person. People that say, like, I'm a good person, never trust those people, bro. Because those people that say, yo, I'm a good person, and you see that a lot from feminism, like feminist women that say, like, oh, I'm a good person, or the transgender community, etc. They always say, like, I'm a good person. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just this and that. Don't trust those people. They're not actually good people. There's no such thing as a good person. We're all completely flawed. At the end of the day, through that logic, yes, we're all evil, like, essentially. But it's a matter of, like, actually acknowledging that and actually seeing that and fixing those flaws, and while you move forward and you get older in life. That's the whole point there.
Disagree if you want. He's not
Right.
like wild
No,
like
you're not
Donovan
gonna
or some
bite
of the
you.
other guys. He's
You're
calm.
not going to be tight. Nothing's going to change.
No, there are pieces of what you say where I can pull out of that I can agree with,
Yeah.
you know. So
And once you see that, you can overcome it. Not seeing it or denying that it exists, you would never overcome it.
That's my point.
See it, you can overcome it.
That's my point right there.
If I dislike my mother, does that make me evil still?
Yes.
Oh.
And the reason you dislike her because she recreated you in her image. You're just like her and you don't want to be.
Yeah.
And the only way you got to overcome her is you got to go to her by realizing I have this anger and I can't help myself.
Right.
My mother couldn't help herself. And then go to her and just say, hey, I'm sorry for resenting you. I realize now because her
tried
mother
it,
did it to
yeah.
her.
I tried
There you go.
doing that.
And what happened?
A lot.
You went to her and said, I'm sorry for hating you?
Yeah.
Probably not
pretty much.
exactly.
As I grew up, I learned a lot of what I caused as a child. So, like, you know.
How did that make you feel though? It's not for her to react a different way. It's for
Right.
you to be free from it.
Right. Well, I guess it was my way of like saying what I needed to say, and that's all I could really do.
But did you overreact when she didn't apologize or got upset, whatever happened?
I walked away when she disagreed with things that I had to say.
But that's when you're supposed to stand there and face it. In order to overcome fear, you have to face it. You have to go into the fear and not away from it.
Right.
And you didn't know at the time, but you didn't need her to apologize or to admit to anything or anything. You forgive her. I'm sorry for resenting you, and God will forgive you. You don't need her to do anything.
Right.
Great way of putting it. Great way to putting it. Because I even say this. Look, I know a lot of people come up with like parents that you don't necessarily, they're not the best parents, etc. I was blessed that I have two parents in the household that are still together till this day. But I do realize that I have a lot of friends that don't necessarily have that same interaction with their parents the way I grew up with. So that's amazing. At the end of the day, even if they weren't perfect parents, you still have to go say, look, mother, I forgive you for putting your female energy, your negative energy on me. And father, I forgive you for not protecting me from the mother. Like I say that a lot is to forgive your parents and to acknowledge that. And no matter what, even if you know that concept there, you're still going to make mistakes even with raising kids. Like that's just how it is. But you should have acknowledgement of knowing what it is. And honestly, once you forgive your parents going forward, you're going to be much happier going throughout life. Like, and that goes for men and women. It's not gender exclusive here on this.
I just think it was hard for her to accept
Only because she's not ready
because
to
she
change.
hadn't accepted her.
Yeah, and that's on her. Amazing, huh?
Amazing.
It's funny
Amazing.
because the things Jesse says are outrageous, and
They're really not.
but at the same time, then when you kind of peel some of it apart,
Yeah.
at the heart of what he's saying is shit rolls downhill.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've met your mom. What was her parents like? Like, do you see shit roll downhill from her parents to your parents to you?
Oh yeah, there was a lot of trauma she never dealt with.
Yeah.
She had me very young. I mean, 19.
Yeah.
So she didn't really get to adult by herself. She
Right.
had to be an adult as a teenager for a baby, you know. So she couldn't really grow up. So the trauma definitely rolled down.
Absolutely. But it would start with you and your kids if you ever have kids.
Yeah.
You would pass down love rather than hate. So it'll start with you and you'll start a new generation once you overcome the spirit of the woman.
Right. I definitely think I'm meant to do that to end the cycle.
I hope
of
so.
my family
Hell yeah.
trauma.
Amazing.
Amazing.
That's why I didn't have kids.
Amazing.
I almost had a kid with a girl once, and we didn't go through with it because something said to me. I was so young. I was a couple years younger. I was your age. I was like 24,
Yeah.
and I knew I wasn't like spiritually grown enough,
There
and
you
I
go.
just knew I come from a fucked up home. She comes from a fucked up home. It's not happening. We're gonna traumatize the kid.
That's
I-
why
there
I
you
tell
go.
you, every human being is not one that is not traumatized by their mothers. Mothers and or grandmother, in case the grandmother raised them. But it's not
Yeah.
one person on earth who are not traumatized by the mother. That's what it means to be born in sin. You're born into a crazy family. And they
There you
change
go.
your innocence to hate. Kids
Yeah.
are not naturally born that way. Kids are born of love, but when they're traumatized by their mothers, they become like that.
Oh man, great take on Peterson here. I might be sitting here and you're thinking, oh yeah, you're shitting on women by saying like their daddy is the devil, but it's not necessarily that, guys. It's really not me trying to shit on women. It's more of like women have particular traits to where, let's be honest, and statistics show this. Okay, this is why I'll even say this. Look, 65% of people in the prison system, guess what? They're all coming from fatherless households. The black community, 72% are born without fathers in the household, okay? 37% of the crime that are committed, all violent crimes, are committed by black people that, again, 70% of them don't have men in the household. 50% of all homicides committed by the black community. So, again, these are all statistics that you can find on the FBI. I'm just saying this. They're raised by female energy. This is why they legitly get triggered by a word like nigger. You say nigger and then they'll fucking go at you and get emotionally stimulated. And that comes from them being raised by mothers, by females, by the school system, by the daycare system, by single parenthood. This is the government that has taken women out of the household and put them in the workforce. This is feminism at its max. This is feminism. And this is why I say, if you're a woman and you find a man that can actually spot out the evil in this world and wants to combat that evil, at the end of the day, you're doing it because you put a full trust into this man to guide you to the light of God. And if you truly believe that, it will always pay out to that way, bro. Like that's just the reality of it. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. All right, comment down below all your thoughts, leave a like, and let's get into the algorithm. Let's red pill the simps and the libtards here on the internet. This has been Project VO Pod. I'm your host, Jake Varr. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.